Nostalgic.
Movie review.
From Nerdy
Married Man.
Hello, everybody. We are back. This is New and Nostalgic. I am Stephen McGee.
And I'm David Olivier. Welcome.
Doing I Am Number 4 today. We're reviewing that. Hopefully you guys watched along with us, came back, and are going to listen to our review of it now. If not, listen to the review. We're going to talk about spoilers at the end. You can listen to those if you want, or skip them, watch it, and then come back and listen to the spoiler review.
We'll go over all the main plot points and give our reviews, our score, and then we'll break it down into a spoiler section so you guys that haven't seen the movie can enjoy a little taste before we get to the main course.
So as we said before, this is I Am Number 4, came out in 2001. It's PG-13 and it runs an hour and 51 minutes.
Actually came out in 2011.
Oh, did I write that wrong? I did write that wrong.
Yeah, it came out in 2011.
Whoops.
Well, oopsie doodles.
I said 2011. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So yes, just came out in 2011. This is a book series. The book series has 6 main books, 5 filler books, and then a spin-off series of 3 books so far as well.
Wow, I only thought they had the one main series, so that blows my mind. Is it all written by the same author?
Yep, which the author is the interesting part of this book series. The author of the book series is Pittacus Lore. And Pittacus Lore claims to be Lorien and claims this is all real. Claims this all happened.
What number?
He's before the numbers.
Oh, he's before the numbers.
So
he's not number 10.
Pittacus Lore is the best guard that Lorien had. He had a very unique power. One of his legacies is actually the ability to copy any legacies that he's felt and seen.
Okay, then.
And in the
good for you.
In the book storyline, which it doesn't showcase in the movie at all, one of the 10 guard children that showed up on Earth, they actually came down to Earth because this other alien colony, the Mogadorians, came and conquered and destroyed their planet. And they sent 10 gifted children that were all going to have legacies from Lorien to come down to Earth, and gave them each one protector each, and they put a bunch of chimeras on the ship as well. And they came down to Earth, they all separated, and that's kind of the gist of the story, is that one of these 10 kids is going to accumulate Pittacus Lore's power and become the ultimate guard, the one who is the leader of the guard.
Well, that was definitely not expanded upon in the movie.
No, at all.
The movie depicts it similar, the 10 kids, or, you said legacy.
So they in the movie and in the first 3 books, they talk about 9 kids being brought down.
9 kids and their guardians, and the kids are basically discount X-Men. They eventually, their powers come into fruition, and it's interesting.
And they are not discount X-Men. They would be Omega level X-Men. Some of these would be
maybe.
No, not the movie versions. The book versions. Some of these are Omega level mutants.
Okay. I haven't read the book.
Trust me, I will go into some of their powers later. You see 3, 4, and 6 in this movie. I guess we should go over the plot synopsis and stuff, and then I'll go more about the movie. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here.
Back it up.
Real back. Do you want to read the synopsis this time?
Yeah, sure. All right. So aliens and their guardians are hiding on Earth from intergalactic bounty hunters. They can only be killed in numerical order. And number 4 is next on the list. This is his story.
I hate this synopsis for one reason. They never in the entire movie explain that they have to be killed in numerical order.
Really? I thought they did.
I don't think they did.
I thought there was a little excerpt. Maybe I missed it, but I thought that it did mention they had to be killed.
Well, because I know he said 1 and 2 and 3 are dead, and I am number 4.
He said I'm next.
And he says I'm next, but he does that's the only explanation there is. He just says I'm next.
About between the 5 and 10 minute mark, he does say I am number 4. I was like, huh? That's the title of the movie.
Whoa. But so there actually is a Lorien protection spell put on all of the kids, and they're marked with this token that's on their necklace, and it gets burned onto the flesh of all the others when they die.
Yep.
But they are given numbers, and that's their name. So they are just 1 through 9 is their names, and then they go by different Earth names that they accumulate, or when they move, they switch names all the time. Number 4 is John Smith.
After he moves
in this movie. So they actually have to be killed in that order. And the Mogadorians in the books, they actually capture some of the numbers, but they can't do anything to them. They keep trying to kill them.
Kind of hold on to them until they can kill them.
What happens is when a Mogadorian would go to stab, like say they captured number 5, they stabbed number 5, they would die. Like the person who stabbed him would get stabbed.
I feel like that concept could have been explored in the movie. That would have been nice to know.
Like, if 6 got shot in the movie at all,
man, that would have been so interesting. That would have been a really like a comeback. Like, who cares?
Like, seriously, she could be a human wrecking ball because she can't
bullet
be killed.
sponge. Come on. She is the literal version of being, rubber and the enemies are glue.
Pretty much. Which they do end up breaking the protection spell later on in the book series, but that protection when they all come together, the protection's broke. So as long as they stayed apart, they couldn't be killed they can only be killed in order. But if they came together, the protection spell's broken.
Teamwork.
Yes. So, cast for this movie, I already said Alex Pettyfer, he plays number 4. We have Timothy Oliphant, who plays his protector, which is Henry. We have Diana Argon.
I think it's Agron,
whatever. She actually was in Glee. She plays Sarah. We have Teresa Palmer, who plays 6. Callian, I can't think of how to say his name, plays Sam. And then we have Kevin Durand, who plays the Mog Commander, which Kevin Durand is the Blob from the X-Men movies.
Yeah, during that time period, if you had a movie that had a specific villain type in it, it was Kevin Durand.
Yep. He played, I think, this character called Michael, who was some sort of like beast character in the Jessica Alba show Dark Angel.
He definitely is a pretty good typecast as a villain most of the time.
And Timothy Oliphant is one of the most underrated actors, in my opinion.
Oh, phenomenal actor, and he does a really good job as Henry.
Oh yeah.
Which we'll talk about later, but his character definitely is lacking in the movie.
Yes. I will say, as far as like being a person who is a huge fan of the books and read all the books, the casting for this movie is perfect.
It's okay.
It is perfect. I cannot think of a better casting choices for some of these people. I thought Sam was a little off at first. Towards the end of the movie, I started really liking Sam a lot more.
I heard, doing a little research, I didn't do a lot in the books, but apparently Sam was supposed to be a little bit more nerdy than the movie let off. Apparently he wears glasses in the book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's definitely, it's one of those teen drama book movies where, all the characters, they look cooler and sexier than, their book counterparts probably were described.
Yeah. One of the things I put that I hated about this movie is Sam isn't a skateboarder. I hate movies that make nerds ride skateboards. Like they did that with Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. Let's have Peter Parker being on a skateboard. No, Peter Parker's never touched a skateboard in his life.
It's one of those making the character, I guess, associating something cool with being nerdy.
Well, and I'm like,
being a nerd is cool, but
how is skateboarding nerdy in any way, shape, or form? Nerdy is not athletic ever.
Yeah.
Like you talk about a nerd, and if you talk about a nerd doing anything sports, it's track and field or cross country. I have never heard of a nerd football player. Like there are some people that are football players that are a little nerdy, but you don't typically get a nerd who's a football player.
Most of the time.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but like, come on. When did skateboarding become a nerd thing? I just hate that, and a lot of movies have been doing that recently.
I can understand that. Well, they're trying to show these kids as losers, and especially in that time, skateboarding was seen as really cool. So it is kind of weird showing them skateboard, like, being Tony Hawk, and then, they're supposed to be lame nerds.
The Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie actually is critic score of a 33% and an audience score of 57%. So we got another big giant jump in between, 24% difference on these. I can definitely tell why this got bad critic scores. I can definitely tell why it's mostly not fully liked. There are some things about this movie that are just not the greatest, but there are still some really good shit in this movie.
All right. Well, should we get into much of the highlights, or
we can get into some of the highlights?
All right. I'll agree. Earlier, Steven talked about the casting is perfect. And, I really did enjoy all the casting choices. I thought they did as best as they could with the material they were given. One of the highlights I liked was the opening scene.
Oh, yeah. With
The opening,
3 in the jungle.
Yeah, this whole scene where 3 is running away from the Mogadorians. I keep wanting to say Mongolians. So that's what I said the whole time I was watching that movie, and my wife was just like, they're not Mongolians. But whatever. But no, the opening scene it's very interesting. It really pulls you in, and apparently that opening scene was pretty close to how the book depicted
that. Was
apparently
perfect.
It was like
honestly
spot on.
That was probably the best transcribing that scene over into a movie. That was just like, I couldn't say that they did anything wrong in that scene, honestly. The one thing, those beasts that are chasing him, those are called Piken. That's never established in the movie. I wish they would have said it. Like, none of the Mogadorians actually ever said the name of the creatures or anything.
Honestly, a lot of information that is vital like that is never really depicted in the movie. They talked about the Mogadorians plenty. At the same time, you also don't know who the Mogadorians are.
Well, and one of the big problems, too, is Kevin Durant's character in this movie. They're portraying him, he's in the credits as a Mogadorian commander, but he acts and does all the same shit that the main Mogadorian leader does. And it really pisses me off because I'm like, you are not saying that he's Cetricus Raw. Cetricus Raw is the main bad Mogadorian, the leader Mogadorian, and he is the one who always kills the guards. And he's always the one who takes their pendant and has all of their pendants on his neck of all the Lorians he's killed.
So they're trying to...
So they didn't say he was Cetricus Raw, and they didn't, he's not listed as Cetricus Raw, but they made him do all the things that Cetricus Raw does.
Well, and honestly, they never even... I don't think I ever heard that name
said the name
in the
either.
movie. So I was like,
that name doesn't actually appear in the first book, so I was okay with that.
So it sounds like they were trying to set up...
Yes.
Okay. And honestly, I liked his acting. Kevin Durant did such a good job, and you could tell he was probably having a lot of fun with the role, which I like. Apparently, some of the stuff he did in the movie didn't happen in the book, but it looked like he was having a lot of fun, really good time. So I dug that.
Honestly, the first book doesn't give a lot of details either. A lot of the bigger details don't come until later in the series. The first book is literally just like this first movie is. You're jumping in to this entire story at number 4. Like, you're jumping into 3's death and then 4. You don't get to hear about 1 or 2 until book 4 and 5.
I was curious about why it was starting with number 4, and it, like you said, it throws you right in the middle of the conflict.
Yeah,
so it's kind of jarring at first.
This kind of stuff, which I'll talk more about that when we talk about the movie and spoilers, and I'll talk about some of the differences. Obviously, there's some great things. There's some terrible things. They do not do their powers justice. They gave them the wrong powers.
Oh, I did hear that some of the powers, specifically one of the powers that 6 has, is supposed to be number 4's power.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Let's a lot of the downfalls and highlights are spoiler territory. So why don't we go into our score?
I gave this movie a 62. Slightly higher than the audience score, way higher than the critics score. I still enjoy this movie. I still think that it's got some good action. It's got some good teen drama kind of shit. I'm a sucker for teen drama romance stuff, and I think the chemistry of the characters together is phenomenal, especially Alice Pettiffer with Timothy Oliphant and Diana Agron or whatever her name is. Those 3, the chemistry between those 3 are fantastic, especially depictions of them in the book of how much he just immediately fell in love with her, basically imprinted on her.
They definitely have good chemistry together. I think they work well together, and you could tell that they had fun.
Yeah. So I definitely think casting wise, Effects wise, like the effects still kind of looks good. I didn't like some of their powers and the way they messed up some of their powers, but the effects still looked good. Like the scenes where he's using his telekinesis against like the cops.
Oh yeah, for 2011 especially, like
Yeah.
the effects are not bad.
Those are pretty good.
I give credit to the visual effects artist, which
I
I mean,
really liked the Pikins, the Munsters, the Mogadorian looks were really great.
Yeah.
Bernie Kosar, he did so good with Bernie Kosar.
Oh yeah,
He's one of my all-time favorite characters. You find out, I guess this is kind of spoiler territory, but you find out he's a chimera. He's actually in almost every movie scene, but he's like in the background. Like at the beginning, he's a lizard.
Yep, he
or a gecko.
sneaks onto the Jeep as they're leaving.
And then he transforms into a beagle.
Cute little pupper.
Yep. And he gets the name Bernie Kosar. And this is a good depiction of the book, actually, because they move into that house that has a Bernie Kosar poster, and he names the dog Bernie Kosar after the famous quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
Which is pretty funny because Henry's character mentions Bernie Kosar, and there's the giant poster on the wall, and he goes, "Yeah, he played football." And I was like, "Really? You sure he played football? Looks like hockey to me."
It definitely did. Which is funny, when we were getting our dog Gwen, we were between one other dog and her, and we almost got a dog. And if we got that other dog, I would have named it Bernie Kosar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cute. That's adorable. So you'd do a 62%.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it.
You can be hard.
See, I'm probably closer to like 51.
51, all right.
I think it was a fun movie. It's a good time, but it's a movie.
It's got flaws.
Its flaws kind of way more on me, where I'm like, I don't know if I would say, "Hey guys, you want to come over and watch I Am Number 4?" It's a fun movie. It is, in my opinion, one of the better movies of the teenage drama movies based off of books, like, Hunger Games and stuff. Like, I would rate this movie so much higher than Twilight.
I would rate it higher than Twilight, higher than Divergent. Probably would rate it, like, if we're talking individual movies, like, especially first movies in the franchises, I might rate this higher than Harry Potter.
I disagree.
I'm just not. I haven't been the biggest fan of Harry Potter. Like, I've seen all the movies once, and I didn't see them until I was 23 or something.
I'd say Harry Potter, like the movies, as far as first movies in the franchise, I'd say Harry Potter and Hunger Games are better.
Yeah,
definitely.
I definitely put Hunger Games as one of my top movies, but like, this is better than Aragon. This is better than a lot of those other like really shitty ones.
Well, Aragon's just an unfortunate.
This is better than Ender's Game. This is better.
I never saw Ender's Game.
This is right in the middle for me. Like, and honestly, as someone who read all the books, and I can shred the out of this movie if I really wanted to. But I still enjoy it. Like, the casting is so perfect to me. That's what takes this movie to the next level for me. That's why I give it the rating it is. It's the casting for me. It's nothing but the casting choices.
Casting choices did well.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really anything else besides like some of the spoilery stuff.
So now we'll enter spoiler zone.
Bum, 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 bum. Ooh. All right.
As far as highlights in the spoiler zone, I definitely think the ending fight at the school was fun. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I thought it was fun.
I showed Jen this movie, or she had seen it before. I showed it to her again, and then I actually had her read the first book, and she's like, "That high school fight was bullshit compared to the book." I was like, "You don't even know."
I did hear the book did it much better, and when I was reading on it, apparently one of the characters had a much bigger role in the movie. That would be the bully character.
Yes.
In the movie, before the school fight happens, he just gets slammed into the window, and then he's out for the rest of the fight. Apparently, he actually has a really good character development change and becomes bigger in the story. And that's one of the downfalls for me, especially that character. I forget his name.
Mark Jacobs.
He just has such a 180 turnaround because they did not explore his character in the movie.
Yeah, and
he's just a bully, and then at the end of the movie, he's like, "Hey, I'm on your side."
All right, I get it. They're the bad guys. They killed my dad. Or they didn't kill my dad, but they injured my dad. They injured me.
Yeah.
I can obviously tell they were after you. I can see why you were the way you were. I'll watch over Sarah for you.
Yeah, so the fight itself, it was fun.
It's
Watching
Bernie
John's
versus the
character.
Python.
Yeah. The Chimera was really cool, and then watching number 4 use his force powers against some of what they're called Pikins.
Yeah.
That was just really cool. Stops its head and it throws it into a wall.
When he's running through that hallway, he does that 180 turnaround and slams every
all the lockers
into the Piken, and then he's just, it does look like the Force where he's like just grabbing its head and then bam. Every single of the guard all has enhanced movement, enhanced agility, enhanced strength, enhanced speed, and they all have that, and then each one of them has their own individual powers. And then one of them becomes the successor of Pittacus Lore and can learn all the powers, which, surprise, surprise, big spoilers for the book. Don't listen if you don't want to know. 4 is the successor of Pittacus Lore.
And and as far as the powers with number 4, he has the speed, agility, he has the force powers, and then he has these flashlight hand powers.
Lumen.
And apparently it has more, he can use it to kind of block energy. And apparently in the books, tell me if I'm wrong, he can also use that power to be resistant to fire. So one of his powers is he is fire resistant, and apparently number 6 still has that power in the movie.
Yes, she does have that power in the movie, and there's a scene where she blocks an explosion blast, and I'm like, 4 is good fireproof. So 4's power with his lumen, so it is light casting over strand, but it also casts heat as well as the light, because light produces heat. He can actually turn that into fireballs.
Oh, that's really neat. In the movie, they basically make it a glorified flashlight / flashbang.
It's like the beam rifle from Halo.
and then there's one part in the movie where you could tell he has some sort of heat or energy where he heats up one of the grenades on the Mogadorian's belts to blow it up.
Well, and when he first is using his power, he puts his hand and starts boiling the water in the janitor's closet.
Okay.
He's getting all hot and sweaty too. So you can tell it's a heat thing.
Yeah.
There a little bit. They give kind of clues to that. But in the books, he actually creates and throws fireballs.
See, that's much cooler than the way the movie does.
And his first power that actually showed up, because some of these kids have more than one power. So in the book, the first power that shows up is he's got a power to be able to speak to animals.
What? Well, that obviously wasn't in the movie.
And because Bernie Kosar is always with him, he can actually communicate with Bernie Kosar.
As far as training scenes go, there really isn't one. There's a scene where 4 is kind of just he's exploring his powers a little bit, like jumping off a waterfall and doing stuff, and he has a kind of fun moment where he gets excited and fist pumps and realizes he has the force power and blows up a light. But as far as training, there is really no training scene, and I wish Henry would have trained him,
because Henry does train him in the book.
Okay,
and there is so there's a scene in the book where when he starts getting his telekinesis, instead of having that fight with him where he throws him up against the wall, he's like, yeah, I could do that now. And it's really dumb. It's really lame. It's so stupid. But in the book, Henry's throwing fastballs at his face and stop it with your mind.
Wow. I wish we had a training scene.
Yeah. Because they have one baseball thing in it where he throws the baseball into the atmosphere in the movie. And I was like, that's what you took from that?
That's
this entire training montage with baseballs, you just have them throw one into the atmosphere?
So training needs to be worked on. I also, going into downfalls, I feel like the pacing of the movie was lacking.
Yeah,
and
it definitely was.
It kind of jumps all over the place.
Yeah.
And one thing I think could have helped is there's a scene with number 6 being introduced, and you don't really learn who number 6 is.
No.
But number 6 is just shown going through the original house that 4 and Henry were in before they moved.
Yeah.
And it's out of place. And I feel like that scene could have been just a line when she shows up at the movie. She could have just said, I've been doing research into you. I've been following you, trying to catch up. I just feel like that scene was really unnecessary and just kind of out of place.
I hated what they did with 6. I love Teresa Palmer as 6. Teresa Palmer as 6, she plays such a good badass. And 6 is the most badass, in your face, I'm gonna kill everybody kind of character. She actually loses her protector.
Yep.
Early on. but her protector trained her to fight instantly. And she was way more attuned to fighting than any of the other guard were. A lot of the other guards tried to give them normal lives. Her protector's like, no, you need to learn how to kill Mogadorians.
See, and I wish they portrayed that in the movie, or at least explained it, which, I mean, they might have been going for in the sequels.
Yeah.
But it is cool seeing her power. She has like a teleport power. She's basically a ninja that can teleport. And I don't know if it's like that in the book, but in the movie, she's like, yeah, I can.
You want to know what her powers are? Well, so like I said, all guard have the enhancements abilities. All guards also have telekinesis.
Okay.
Here's her 2 powers in the book. She can turn invisible.
Okay.
Which
I guess
I think is
the
what they were
thing.
trying to do for her invisibility, but they made it seem like she was going way faster, like teleporting wise in the movie. And then she has another power called Sturma, which is she's able to manipulate the 4 basic elements. She's King Avatar.
Yeah. See, and I wish they did that in the movie. I feel like they took some creative liberties.
The biggest thing that she does in the books, she's basically Storm.
That's cool.
She causes like all these giant like rain clouds and shooting lightning and causing tornadoes to come up. And like the high school fight, like she goes balls to the walls, like just killing Mogadorians with lightning and shit. And like, oh, they destroy most of the high school in the book, I'm pretty sure. Like Henry's death happens in the high school fight. In the book.
I was wondering, because Henry, he's in the movie, he's kind of a guardian, and instead of training him, he's more like, just hide your powers, just be a, and then he dies.
He's way more of a father figure in the book series, and his death is way more, like, I cried in the books when Henry died. I did not really
the movie tried to make it a dramatic scene, and it fell flat.
And they did that trap with the alien writers actually was in the books.
Okay, all right.
So that was in the books. The high school fight was in the books. All the things with Mark Jacobs, all the things with Sarah were in the books. Like a lot of the depictions of it. Malcolm, Sam's dad, being someone who helped Lorians before, is actually in the books.
There's a really interesting twist there.
Yeah, which you find out like Malcolm had a lab inside his like place that he worked in the mine of like some like Lorian stuff. There's also he had a secret lab under his backyard.
Oh, that's
that they
neat.
Go back to in a later book. So like at the end of the movie, Sam's like, I bet my dad might have been captured, and Four's like, your dad's probably dead. He actually is captured by the Mogadorians, and Sam does get to meet his dad later on.
Seeing it's plot points like that I do wish, even though the movie did not do as well as it could have.
Yeah.
I do wish there was a sequel, or at least a couple, so that we could learn more about these characters, because it definitely is a great premise. It's fun. I mean, the movie, it leaves out a lot of plot points, and it makes it feel like it is just a by the numbers. It's very predictable. It is a high school drama action movie.
Yeah.
It is. You can guess what's going to happen before it happens, minus maybe a couple things. And the other part that I consider a downfall, but it is a funny downfall, is the introduction of number 4. When the first time you see him, it is just this cheesy. He's on a jet ski, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm cool," and he does like a backflip on it, and it's just, just the typical teenage drama, rock music playing along, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm cool," and
it was so stupid. Like
it was a weird intro. They could have done that much better.
Yeah, but which there was a thing where he did 3 died while he's around other people, so that was a depiction in the books.
And I thought that was a good scene. Mm-hmm. They're having a beach party, and he's in the water hanging out with this girl that he's interested in, and then all of a sudden his leg starts glowing, and one of the symbols from number 3 is getting burned into his leg. Yeah. And it's a cool scene. The thing that threw me off, and I'm sure it happens in the book, but the glowing, and the girl freaks out and she calls him a freak. Yeah. And is just like making fun of him. And I'm like, I don't know if that would actually, I can understand her getting a little worked up by it, but at the same time, I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, I think they're trying to say that that ritzy hot girl kind of girl would react as soon as they see something a little bit out of the norm, they're gonna react like, oh, you're just a freak, I don't want to be involved with you.
Yeah.
Which I can kind of see that. They do a good job too of when one of them dies, they all get the mark and they all see the death.
Yeah, that is depicted in the movie, and I feel like that's done pretty well.
One of the things that I thought was funny, and this is a trope that I've been noticing in a lot of movies that try to do like action or horror. There's every time they go to a school and have a fight in the school, whether it's a horror movie or whatever, there's always a janitor buffing the floor. And they look at the janitor, and then when they go back to the hallway to see what that noise was, the janitor's dead and the buffer's just spreading blood all over the floor. And I'm like, it's in so many movies.
Camera pans back, and then it's just the buffing of the blood on the floor. And it's so funny.
And then another one that I hated the power-wise, but I love this line. This is my favorite line in the movie. Is there the scene where 4 and 6 at the high school fight, they're fighting the Mogadorians, and she's like, hit me with your lumen to charge me up. And he hits her with the lumen, and she's like, oh, yeah, Red Bulls for pussies.
I did think that was really funny.
I was like, God damn it. I just laughed so hard. I was like, why?
It was pretty great. Is there anything else that you liked or disliked about the film, or should we move into fun facts?
Bernie Kosar getting injured like he did fighting the Piken. In the book, 4 actually saves Bernie Kosar from that Piken on the field.
I was wondering, it's bizarre in the movie because he gets injured and he just lies down for a while, and then apparently 4 forgets about him. Mm-hmm. And Bernie Kosar shows up in the last, here comes my beagle, shows up out of nowhere, and number 4's like, oh cool, you're still here? Wow, yeah. He just forgets about him.
He cared the out of him in the book, and he actually, like, that Piken fight that he had in the hallway, this should have happened outside of the school, and it should have been on the football field, and he should have been fighting him there. And then I think after he saves him, and I could be remembering this song, it's been a while since I've read the book, but this is where Henry dies, actually. Like, Henry comes running towards him, and he gets shot by a Mog laser, and it hits him, like, gut, and it, like, rips a hole through his, like,
that is
gut. And it's gut-wrenching, man. It's like, what the... Like, he's been fighting for his life against this entire, like, Mogadorian squadron with all these Piken, and him and 6 are going ham on everybody and, like, trying to save everyone's life, and then Henry just gets shot out of nowhere. And it's like...
So it sounds like the book is much more exciting at the end. And it sounds like it's also more devastating because the movie, like this ending fight scene on the football field, there's minor destruction, minor casualties, like basically none. And then it's like it's played off as happy-go-lucky. Yeah. We won, yippee! Let's go on our next adventure.
I guess I do like that they actually got dusted. Everyone who died in Mogadorian and Lorien got dusted in the movies too. Like, their bodies do disintegrate.
Does their clothing disintegrate? In the movie, they kind of dust away, and it reminds me of like Avengers Infinity War.
The dusting.
The snap, everything just... And I was just, while I was doing research for the movie, I was listening to someone talk about it. And this person was wondering, what if they dusted away and it did more of like how when a Jedi dies in Star Wars, the clothing just kind of sinks down and the body disappears. I feel like that might have been more dramatic
too. I think it just gets rid of like every trace of them.
Which it's an interesting concept, and I'm all for it.
But I definitely like agree with that take. Like, it could have been more dramatic that way.
But the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm just a little salty about the death of Henry in the movie, because I feel like it did not have any feeling to it. No, I know we already talked about it was not done well. And plus, I feel like they wasted Timothy Oliphant. He's so good, and he just didn't get as much screen time as I would have hoped.
Of the characters that needed more things done with him, it was Henry and Mark Jacobs. Those two characters needed to be put more into the limelight and have more of a role, and they needed to really accentuate that last high school battle. Because that last high school battle is basically the book. Like, that high school battle is what sets them off on their adventure, and they end the book the same, or the movie the same way the book ends, where they get an image of where everyone's at, all the other guard, and they go out and seek to find the others. because all the guards tells him, which some guards are in like, I think one's in Spain, one's in New York, one's somewhere else, one's in like Brazil, one's in India.
All over the world.
All over the world. And they all have different powers. Like one of them can transform to any animal.
That's cool.
Anything else you want to talk about with it?
Maybe some fun facts.
Go for it.
What do we got? So the movie was marketed as a Twilight for boys to recreate the success. It was marketed that way. This is.
Oh, that's so sad.
But a couple fun things I did some research into is the executive producer, Steven Spielberg. He was apparently a fan of Glee, a huge fan of Glee, and he actually pictured Diana, was it Agron?
Yeah, as Sarah.
To be Sarah, and he wasn't sure what was going to happen, but by chance encounter, they met in person by accident, and she ended up becoming a part of the movie. But apparently Steven Spielberg is a huge fan of Glee, so I like that.
Seriously though, like every description I ever saw on Sarah in the entire books, like when I saw Diana Argon was playing Sarah, I was like,
perfect, huh?
Perfect. Like I wouldn't pick anyone else.
So
ever.
Going off of that, like Diana, so apparently Diana, who's Sarah, and Alex, who is number 4, they dated while they were filming. Yeah. And apparently the day after the movie got released into theaters, they broke up.
Yeah, I heard
which is sad. Too. I mean, you hear about that a lot in movies when actors and actresses, date each other while filming. And it, sometimes helps with the chemistry, but it's like, I don't know. I think it would have been cool if they ended up together.
And the thing that sucks is, like, I think Alex Pettyfer is actually a decent actor, but he's in so many bad movies. Like, he's in the modern remake of Beauty and the Beast.
Beastly. With
Vanessa Hudgens and Neil Patrick Harris and Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
That's a movie.
Yeah. It's got a 4%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Generous. That's very generous. But yeah, those were some of the fun facts I read into, and I thought it was really cool, especially the thing about Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, most of my fun facts are basically just about the book series, which, like I said, I could go into way more details, but I feel like I've already gone into too much.
So that is I Am Number 4. Tell us what you think about it, and if you guys have any ideas of what movies you would like us to review, why don't you leave that in the comments?
Yeah,
if you want us to talk about something, interact with us. We would love to do that.
Yeah. Talk to us. So yes, next week our movie is going to be Thor: Love and Thunder.
Ooh, going for a new movie.
Yes, which obviously you can't stream anywhere. I don't know if it's still in theaters. It might be in some theaters still.
As of right now, it is still in theaters. I imagine they're probably going to do a similar thing like they did with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, where about 3 months after the movie is out in theaters, they're probably going to put it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to go to theaters to see it, wait for it to be on Disney Plus. But that's what we're going to be talking about next week. We'll enjoy that time.